look, the running back, the quarterbacks, they started with the quarterbacks, and it's clear that they're trying to suppress these contracts, these salaries, right? The NFL is making hand over fist, and their players are saying, "Give us our piece," and they're like, "Well, we don't really want to do that."
Well, yeah, and they're still paying the quarterbacks, right? Like they're not paying them what they're worth, but they're still getting their money. Running backs, on the other hand, and listen, I'm going to put this up because a lot of top running backs in the league responded to this. This is nothing against Matt Miller. Matt Miller is not a villain of any kind. He actually seems like a really good guy. He's good at his job, but he's just pointing out what it's like in the league now. Been saying it for years. Draft a running back, play the running back. If he's good, franchise tag the running back one time, and then draft a running back. Right, basically saying don't pay him. Don't give him that second contract because running backs break down. There's a ton of talent at the position. You just don't need to pay them. And right now, running backs are on average making less than kickers in the NFL. And that's not to say that kickers don't deserve the money they get. They absolutely do. Just running backs should be getting more. They play a lot more often. They play a much bigger role in the offense. They take a lot more hits. They have much shorter careers, so they should absolutely be paying or be paid more. Yep. Now, like I said, multiple running backs responded to what Matt Miller said. Here's Jonathan Taylor saying, if you're good enough, they'll find you. If you work hard enough, you'll succeed. If you succeed, you boost the organization, and then doesn't matter, you're a running back. That's very true.
Very telling. Yes, very true.
Derrick Henry, that at this point, just take the running back position out the game then. The ones that want to be great and work as hard as they can to give their all to an organization just seems like it don't even matter. I'm with every running back that's fighting to get what they deserve. My guy, formerly my guy, not anymore. He's a filthy 49er, but Christian McCaffrey, responding to Doug Kleiman talking about that Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard not getting long-term deals before the deadline for franchise players to work out an extension. He says, this is criminal. 3 of the best players in the entire league, regardless of position. Going to push back on Tony Pollard on that one, but we get the point. And Austin Eckler, who's one of the best running backs, one of the best players in the league, who wanted a new contract with the LA Chargers, and they basically laughed at him and said, shut up. He says, responding to Matt Miller, he said, this is the kind of trash that has artificially devalued one of the most important positions in the game. Everyone knows it's tough to win without a top running back, and yet they act like we are discardable widgets. I support any running back doing whatever it takes to get his bag.
Yeah, so the thing is, we talked about how the position's been devalued, right? Mm-hmm. And, it's becoming more of a passing league. Oh, got a donation. Salute to Marco G. Appreciate you, Marco. I'm going to read that in 1 second. In fact, I'll read it now. He says, I get running back production drops after 5 or 6 years, which is why they should get their big contracts as a rookie contract, since their prime years are their first 5 years. Yeah, I don't even think they break down after 5 years, especially nowadays, man. The way these athletes take care of themselves now, they hold up for a lot longer. So I don't think 5 years is it for them.
I don't think it's it, but you do see running backs kind of start to break down earlier than other positions, and I think that's just because they get the ball a lot more than any other player. Like, what's high usage for a wide receiver? 100 catches. The record for receptions in a year is like 140 something.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry will carry the ball 350 times.
Yeah.
And you're almost guaranteed to be taking hits on every one of those carries. You're going through the D line. You got to run through the D line. You got to run through linebackers. And it gets a little easier if you're lucky to get enough to get to the third level. But you're taking hits from the biggest, strongest players on the field on a regular basis, and that's not the case for other positions.
I understand, but if you're a top, but if you're a top running back, we've seen running backs that have had long careers, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like after 5 years you can't get a guy that's still like the guy. And these running backs now, especially like you mentioned Austin Eckler, does a lot of catching.
Yeah.
Right. So like they're used in different ways now. I just don't think, like I've heard different sides to this, and a lot of people will say, "Hey, look, the game is changing," and it is. It's becoming more of a passing league, but running isn't extinct.
No.
And they're not going to get rid of the running game. I was watching this clip from what's his name, Marcellus Wiley, saying running backs are becoming extinct, and it's more effective to pass the ball than it is to run the ball. Not really. And teams don't believe that either, because like you said, teams still do a lot of running. Even teams that you look at and think, oh well, they don't have a running back, they still run the ball.
Well, I think it is more effective to pass the ball. Like you're gaining more yards passing the ball than even the worst quarterbacks than running it, right? Just by the nature of the play. But it's also more risky.
It's risky, yes, yeah.
And I think that the teams they do get sort of close to that 50-50 split. It's just the situations in which you run the ball, right? You're not running the ball necessarily to get yourself the lead, and it's not like your main weapon, right? You get the lead and you run the ball to shorten the game. You run the ball on short yardage downs so that you're not taking that risk of throwing the ball, maybe getting an interception, getting sacked, whatever it is. So I think teams look at that and they say, hey, you're not our primary means of getting the ball down the field. You're not the primary means of scoring. So we're not going to pay you as much. But even that is not the main driver of the value going down, right? And like I said, it's not running backs breaking down because they can continue to play after the first 5 years or so. It's just that what was the premier position in football, outside of quarterback for many, many, many years? It was running back. And if you couldn't play quarterback, you wanted to play running back. And the best athletes played running back. And that's where we're at now, where you can find very, very talented players on day 2, day 3 in the draft pretty easily. And so, the Chiefs just drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, right? Didn't pan out. And then they replaced him with Isaiah Pacheco, who they drafted in the 7th round and is a much better player. Now, that can happen at every other position as well, but you're much more likely to get a good enough player at running back in one of those later rounds than you are at quarterback, at wide receiver, at corner, or something like that. It's just easier to replace those players because there's so much talent available. And I think that's something that is going to, that's going to swing back around because everybody wants to play wide receiver now. Running backs aren't getting paid. It's a passing league. And, some teams kind of replace their run game with short passes. And, everybody wants to play that wide receiver position.
Yeah.
And, the further along we get into that, the fewer running backs that are going to be available. And their value goes up.
No, you said it right there, right? That's the thing. There's a lot of talent at that position, so it's easier to replace. But it doesn't mean that these teams don't value running backs, because like I said, people look at the Chiefs and say, "Oh, look who they won with Isaiah Pacheco. Who's he?" Well, I mean, look, when Pacheco, if he's as good as we think he's going to be, because we think he's going to get even better, he's going to be in a position where he's going to want a contract as well. And yeah, there'll be another player that is just as talented that'll be available to them. But like you said, 5 years down the road, especially when you hear stuff like this in the headlines, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, these are guys that are the top running backs in the league saying, hey, we're not getting paid what we're worth. That sends ripple effects. These are the best. These are the best running backs in the league saying, man, I'm not even sure if it's worth it. Saquon Barkley is just like, I might take the year off.
Yeah.
Right. Josh Jacobs, they said he was close to getting the deal done and didn't get done. He's frustrated. He hasn't signed his franchise tender either. So, like you said, when high school players are looking at this right now, what's going on? Guys in college, what does that do for the mindset? Yeah, I want to get to the league, but I want to play that position. I don't pay.
Yeah. And over in Washington, Antonio Gibson is publicly saying he wants to play more receiver, right? He wants to play in the slot because that's a skill set he believes he has. And I think that you're right. Teams do value the run game. They just don't value running backs. And another part of that is a good chunk of the production at running back depends, almost entirely on your O line, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with all of these reasons is that we're saying is they apply to other positions too, right? If you don't have an O line, your quarterback isn't getting anything done.
Yeah.
Your wide receivers aren't worth anything if you don't have an O line, right? So yeah, that the O line is important to everybody.
Yeah.
We don't. People say that the running backs don't impact winning enough. You look at analytics and the expected points added per play and those kind of things, and running backs are always in the negative or very, very low down, right? Much lower than quarterbacks, wide receivers, and everything, passing the ball in general. But like we said on the roundup the other day, Derek Carr doesn't impact winning. Daniel Jones doesn't impact winning. There's a lot of quarterbacks around the league who don't impact winning, and they still got paid a ton of money. So it's something that they're kind of looked at as kind of the black sheep of the league right now, right? Like nobody wants to pay a running back, and yeah, there have been some high profile busts at running back with big contracts. You got Christian McCaffrey missed a lot of games right after he signed his deal. Even though he's still a great player.
Yeah.
No, he's still a great player, but immediately following signing that deal, he played 10 games over the next couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Right. Todd Gurley signed a big deal, and his knee just gave up on him. Right. Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott signed a big deal, and his production got worse every year. So yeah, I'm sure teams look at that, but it really is just kind of an excuse to not pay them. And contrary to what a lot of the people think, I do think they want to get rid of the running back position. I think that they want it to be. People have always said, "Oh, it's going to be 7-on-7." I was like, "No, it's not. You're dumb." But I think they want it to be that, right? They want it to be a more wide open game with just a lot more scoring.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't think we're anywhere close to that because too many coaches value running, right? As part of their game plan. Even pass happy teams that have the air raid attack like Arizona, they still want that running back because those short yard situations, you want to go with a short thing. Or, like you said, because there's more busts at quarterback. Right? Because you invest more in a quarterback. I should say they're a bigger bust. They're a bigger bust at quarterback than there are any position because of how much attention you put in it. When your quarterback ain't it, you're relying on the run game, right? I mean, and Saquon Barkley, I mean, this is one of those cases. Who's the most valuable player on that team? It's Saquon Barkley. It ain't Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is the highest paid. I mean, of course, if I'm Saquon, I'm looking at that like this is crazy. I'm not even saying give me $40 million a year. I'm not saying pay me as much as him, but man, like make it respectable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, who are the Giants going to lean on this year? They're not leaning on Daniel Jones, even with that big contract, right? And that's why Saquon, he was on that.
I hope they lean on Daniel Jones. I would love to see that.
I mean, Ferris is in the chat. He's a Giants fan. I mean, you know how much they lean on Saquon. If he said it on the podcast, like I might just say F it, F them. I'm not playing this year. He's like, I don't want to do that, but will I? Am I willing to do it? He said, I don't know. That's the wrong thing to say. He should have said, absolutely, I'm willing to do it. Right? When the running backs, it looks like they're coming together in solidarity and they're trying to push back on the league. You see what's going on with the Screen Actors Guild, with the writers. They're striking in Hollywood. You have to say, look, we're willing to do what they're doing, and we'll just sit out.
Yeah.
Right. That's what needs to happen. Like, don't sit there and be like, man, I don't know. Don't waffle. Don't do that because that's where they feel like they can still have control over you. If you just say, all right, well, I'm good. I'm not going to play this year. All right, tag me again next year. I don't care if it counts against my year or whatever. I don't care. I'm not playing for you this year. And let's see how far you get without me. Right. Especially them. Josh Jacobs too. Yeah. You want to lean on Jimmy G? Go right ahead. Didn't you draft my replacement? Go play him. I'll sit out. Yeah. I'm good. Right.
And we talked about the reason being an abundance of talent at running back, but even that I don't think is the actual reason. It's certainly a big part of it. I think the real reason that running backs are so devalued is the fact that the league changed the rules to promote more offense, right? You're in a league right now. I think that none of us really believe that Mac Jones is a is a good player, right? Like, and he didn't have great numbers for sure. He didn't have great numbers, but he had more touchdowns than interceptions, 14 to 11, almost 3,000 yards. But he completed 65% of his passes, right? Another guy we look at and we know isn't very good is Jared Goff. Jared Goff completed 65% of his passes for 4,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Now, that's not telling me, oh, Jared Goff is much better than we thought. That's telling me it's way too easy to pass the ball. Yeah. And that's why teams used to lean so heavily on running backs, because it was harder to pass the ball than it is now. The defense can be much more physical. They could hold, bump, and all these, the receivers and everything, and bring those completion percentages down, limit the big plays. And so it was a better idea to lean on your running back and kind of try and move the ball more consistently that way. And now there's no danger in passing the ball, really. You're going to complete your pass and you're going to gain more yards than you are handing the ball off, no matter what, because the league wants you to move the ball and the league wants you to score. So if we want the running backs to matter again, and running backs to make more money, especially these top players, the answer is to simply allow the defense to play defense again.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe they don't do that. Maybe they get away from that. Maybe, like you said, they do try to figure out the running backs. But these running backs that are currently playing now, they should hasten that, right? They should say, all right, well, if you don't want us, you don't want us. Like, you talked about Saquon, look at Tennessee. And they just got DeAndre Hopkins. Well, it's not official yet, but it looks like he's going to be signing there. How far, who are they leaning on? Who's the most valuable player? It's still Derrick Henry, right? Yep. Even though we think Derrick Henry is slowing down, he's the guy, especially their quarterback situation. If Derrick Henry isn't playing, they don't have any real hope, right? So there are teams that still lean heavily on running backs, but and as they should, talent like that, it's hard to find. But I think we're going to find out whether they're trying to phase them out or if it's just, hey, you feel like they're too replaceable right now. But in a few years, these players like Bijan Robinson, you ain't gonna see too many more of those players coming up. Like that. I mean, he looks like he's a great talent and he's gonna do well in the league. But you're not gonna get too many more of those coming up here in the future. Even if they're playing in college right now, you might have some players that you're looking at saying, "Oh, this running back will be great when it comes to the league." They're gonna be looking to switch positions.
No,
right? And I don't know, man. This could be a precursor to a strike or a holdout. I mean, you and I talked about that. We weren't sure how far away the players are from that, but it's becoming painfully obvious that the league is trying to suppress their salaries, and players are starting to at least chirp a little bit more.
At every position, they're suppressing the salaries.
Yes, it's not just running back. So, I mean, this could be a precursor. We might be seeing a lockout here in the next couple of years. If I were the players union, I'd do it right now. Right as the league is they have the new deal with Apple and Amazon. They got all this new money coming in. This is the time I would say, no, we're not gonna play.
You mean YouTube TV?
YouTube, well, Amazon too, right? Because they got the Prime Day.
No, I mean rather than Apple, YouTube got the Sunday.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was Apple. YouTube. Oh, yes. YouTube. So this is the time to do it when they're expecting that kind of money coming in because business is good. I can't remember where I read it, but the league is trying to their target by 2027, I believe. I could be making this number up, but I know in the near future, their goal is for every team to be generating $1 billion a year. Right. That's their goal. So while everything is going well, this is the time to throw a wrench in that gear and say, no, pay us.
Yeah.
Right. You got to do it when you have some leverage, and right now you have some leverage. Okay. And look, we're football fans. We don't want to see. We don't want to go without our football, but play so you get paid. Yeah. Yeah, and you guys,
I got a lot of dungeon run to catch up on.
Listen. We love football, but you will find something to fill your time in. It's not the end of the world, and this will make it better. Okay, you want players that are taken care of, that are fully focused on playing football. Because, I mean, if you're a Giants fan, you feel good about this year without Saquon? If you're a Titans, even though you just got D-Hop, do you feel good about this year without Derrick Henry? I mean, and Derrick Henry's not talking about not playing, but I'm just saying, if he didn't play, would you feel good about this year?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. Right? You wouldn't care who the quarterback was, right? But you care about that running back. All right, Coach. So you came in just in time for us. Well, okay. Before we start that, you have any thoughts on this running back situation?
Oh yeah, I do. I ain't as supportive as you guys are.
Okay.
I feel different.
You said it can go. Okay, let's hear this.
So my thing is, when in any job, when you get an influx of good players, their value goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get, at the running back position, there are a bunch of good players. And just like we praise the wide receivers now, the market, the value is going to go down.
Right.
Because, and y'all mentioned 7-on-7, because of 7-on-7, the value and the cost of receivers, it's going to go down. Because these kids play catch in 7-on-7 year round. And in the next 4 to 5 years, the value of the receiver is going to go down because there are going to be so many good wide receivers. Just like you can get a good running back in round 5, 6, 7. Come here in the next 5 to 6 years, you're going to be able to get multiple good receivers at round 5, 6, and 7. Then the cost of receivers is going to go down. It's a cycle.
Well, I think it's already down. Like if we're really looking at it, I mean, you got your top guys like Tyreek and Devontae got those massive deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, this offseason, outside of Odell, who was on a historic pace to start his career, and DeAndre has been a top receiver for the entirety of his career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else a wide receiver got paid.
No, I mean these guys that's in these drafts. That's what I mean. Like wait till those guys that's like this just getting drafted. Wait till they get in year 3, 4, 5, and they get a cycle in. Those guys that's been playing 7-on-7 since age 6, age 7, age 8. Wait till they get, till those kids start cycling through, and you're gonna have, it's gonna be the NFL gonna be flooded with receivers.
I think it's gonna be even worse. It's already starting now, is what I'm saying.
But then wait till you get a cycle of kids like Gibbs, the Gibbs kid.
Jameer Gibbs.
That Detroit just drafted.
Yeah.
I've been looking at some stuff on him, and man, that he's a good running back, but he's a darn good slot receiver too. So you about to like y'all just mentioned, a bunch of these college running backs gonna start playing slot receiver.
Right.
I mean, look, coach, I ain't with this running back stuff.
Yeah.
Then the coach gonna be like, "Well, no, you're a running back. They're gonna transfer."
But and I think the I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, like the analogy you use, like, yes, like any position, if you get an influx of talent, it devalues, but the exceptional ones still get paid more, right? Like even if we're all cashiers, right? Cashiers don't make that much money, but if a bunch of all the other cashiers are messing up the count, they're slow, and we're just moving fast. Like everything's accurate. Our register always comes up, on point, and they keep leaning on us. They're like, "Hey, look, man, look, Jose, Coach B, Black Friday coming up. We need them. We're gonna have to give them some overtime. We're gonna have to really use them. At some point, you're gonna say, look, you're leaning on us too much. Pay us because we have more value than them. You rely on us more than them. If we aren't here, what's that gonna do for you? Yeah, you can probably go and find somebody to replace us, but are they gonna be as good? How long before they get trained up, right? You're taking a risk there. Just pay us, right? Because there's always a cost in turnover, right? True. You can go find somebody, that's cheaper, but by the time they get trained up to where you're at, you spent a whole lot of money, But also, it's not just a running back position. Like they're trying to do it for all positions. I mean, we just saw what happened with Lamar. Lamar didn't get paid what he was worth.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, I agree. I agree. Like, yes, you know, positions get devalued and goes in waves for sure. But what the league's trying to do is suppress everybody's salary.
And
Well,
that's kind
you
of
know what they're
my
trying to do. They're trying to make money. Go ahead, be my bad.
Yeah.
no. That's kind of my problem with there's a lot of talent coming in and that devalues it, and that's absolutely true if it were happening naturally. But like I said, I don't think that it is. The league is manipulating it to where like they change the rules on the offense. You're not allowed to play defense the way you used to be able to play defense, which is much more physical defense. Now, that's true in every sport, right? You get rid of the goons, and the game gets more skilled, gets a little more wide open. There's more scoring, but basketball is not a contact sport, right? Like the other sports aren't contact sports, and football is. That's what defense is. It's running and hitting, right? And you say, hey, you can't run and hit no more. There's a lot better running backs and there's a lot better wide receivers out there, right? And so you don't have to pay them as much, and in turn you don't have to pay the defenders because, well, I mean, you're not really affecting the game like that position used to. You're not stopping these offenses the way guys used to out there, so you're not going to get that money either. So I think it's artificial, the way they're doing it. Like we've been saying, they're trying to hold down those salaries. And if you go back and you say, hey, you know what, we're going to turn back the clock on some of these rule changes, and it's going to be much harder to pass the ball than it's been for the last 10, 15, 20 years. All of a sudden, you're going to see that a lot of these guys aren't as talented as we think, or as they look.
My thing is that if you're going to make all these rule changes based for the offense and give them, make it where they can't be as physical as they need to be on defense, give them an extra guy. You got all these rules for you can't do this to the quarterback, you can't touch, and all these different things that take the physicality out, which what defense was. Give them an extra player,
like 12 on 11.
But coach, wouldn't that result in fewer points? That's not what we're trying to do here.
I know. I'm just threw it out. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, they're taking tools away from the defense and giving tools to the offense, and they're trying to make it an unbalanced game, and I mean they have, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.